Have you ever felt like you're caught in a storm, with waves of trouble crashing over you from every side? The wind howls, the rain beats down, and the darkness is so thick you can't even see your own hand in front of your face. It feels isolating, terrifying, and utterly overwhelming. In moments like these, it's so easy to feel like you're completely alone, like you've been abandoned to face the chaos by yourself. You might cry out, "Where are you? Do you even see what I'm going through?" This feeling isn't new. It's a struggle as old as humanity itself. Throughout history, people have faced their own personal tempests. Think of the great explorers navigating uncharted waters, their small wooden ships tossed about by monstrous waves with no land in sight. Or soldiers on a battlefield, surrounded by the deafening roar of conflict, far from home and everything they hold dear. Imagine a family huddled together during a famine, watching their resources dwindle day by day, praying for a miracle. These aren't just stories. They are the lived experiences of people who felt the same fear, the same desperation, and the same sense of being lost in a storm that we often feel today. The Bible is filled with such accounts. Take Joseph, for example. He was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and then falsely accused and thrown into a dungeon. Can you imagine the darkness of that prison? The loneliness? It must have felt like a storm that would never end. Yet, even in that deep, dark place, he wasn't alone. God was with him, shaping his character, preparing him for a future he couldn't yet see. Or consider Job, a man who had everything: a loving family, great wealth, and perfect health. In an instant, a furious storm of tragedy ripped it all away. He lost his children, his fortune, and his health. His friends came not to comfort him, but to accuse him. He sat in ashes, scraping his sores, crying out to God in his anguish. His storm was one of unimaginable pain and confusion. Yet, through it all, Job was wrestling with his faith, holding on to a sliver of hope that God was still sovereign even when nothing made sense. And then there's the Apostle Paul. His life was a series of storms. He was shipwrecked, beaten, stoned, and imprisoned countless times. In one account, he was on a ship caught in a violent hurricane for 2 weeks. The sailors had given up all hope, throwing the ship's tackle overboard, just waiting for the inevitable. The darkness was total, day and night. But in the midst of that chaos, an angel of God stood beside Paul and told him not to be afraid. Paul then stood before the terrified crew and declared, "Keep up your courage, because not one of you will be lost." He had a peace that defied the circumstances because he knew the master of the sea was with him. These stories aren't just ancient history. They are powerful reminders that storms are an inevitable part of life. We will all face them. Sickness, loss, financial hardship, betrayal, anxiety. These are the winds and waves of our modern world. The question isn't whether we will face a storm, but who we will have in the boat with us when we do. Let's turn to one of the most powerful images in the entire Bible. Imagine the Sea of Galilee at night. Jesus' disciples, many of whom were expert fishermen, are in a boat crossing the lake. Suddenly, a furious squall comes up. The waves are so high they are breaking over the boat, and it's beginning to fill with water. These seasoned sailors are terrified. They are fighting for their lives. And where is Jesus? He's in the stern, sleeping peacefully on a cushion. In their panic, they wake him up, shouting, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" Does that question sound familiar? It's the same cry that echoes in our own hearts during our trials. God, don't you care? Don't you see what's happening to me? Jesus wakes up. He doesn't panic. He doesn't even seem fazed by the raging storm. He simply stands, looks out at the chaos, and rebukes the wind. Then he says to the waves, "Quiet, be still." And immediately, the wind dies down, and it is completely calm. The silence that follows must have been deafening. The disciples are left in absolute awe, asking each other, "Who is this?" Even the wind and the waves obey him. Notice what happened here. Jesus didn't just give them the strength to row harder. He didn't just bail the water out of the boat. He spoke directly to the source of their fear, the storm itself, and commanded it to cease. He demonstrated that he has authority over the very forces of nature that were threatening to destroy them. He is the Lord of the storm. This is the pivotal truth for us today. When we are in our storms, Jesus is in the boat with us. We may feel like he's sleeping, like he's unaware of our panic, but he is present, and his presence changes everything. He may not always calm the storm around us immediately, but he can always calm the storm within us. He offers a peace that transcends our circumstances, a peace that says, "I am in control." You are safe with me. The visual of that moment is so powerful. The scene shifts from chaotic darkness, thrashing waves, and driving rain to a sudden, profound calm. The moonlight breaks through the clouds, reflecting on a perfectly still sea. The terror on the disciples' faces is replaced with wonder. This is the transformation that happens when we invite the Creator into our chaos. The darkness of fear and anxiety gives way to the warm, radiant light of His presence. That peace is not dependent on the storm disappearing. Paul found peace in a prison cell. Joseph found purpose in a dungeon. Job found God in the midst of his suffering. The peace Jesus gives isn't the absence of trouble. It's the presence of God. It's knowing that the one who can command the winds and the waves is holding you in His hands. So whatever storm you're facing right now, whether it's a hurricane of grief, a squall of financial worry, or the relentless waves of anxiety, know this: you are not alone. The Master of the sea is in the boat with you. You might feel like He's sleeping, but your cries do not go unheard. Turn to Him. Wake Him with your prayers. Trust that He cares more deeply than you can possibly imagine. He has already won the ultimate victory over the greatest storms of sin and death. The cross and the empty tomb are our ultimate assurance that no storm can ever separate us from His love. He has conquered the darkness, and He offers that victory to us. When we fix our eyes on Him instead of the waves, we find our footing. We find our peace. We find our hope. The storm will pass. The winds will cease. The sun will rise again. And you will be standing not because of your own strength, but because the one who commands the seas was with you all along. Hold on to that promise. Let His peace guard your heart and mind. Thank you so much for watching. If this message encouraged you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might be going through a storm of their own. And do UNT forget to subscribe and click the notification bell so you won't miss our next video. We're so glad to be on this journey with you. Remember, you are loved and you are never alone. See you next time.